Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Refracted Curvature, Neil, Chocolate Saiyan, 10th Man. Did I catch everyone? I think I did. And a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you all. Any evidence of a physical geometric spheroid horizon formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
No, we tried that with their 3959 radius, and it fell all apart there, the black swan. It's beyond its limitation. We don't live on a curved surface. Not where it's supposed to be. That is the horizon.
Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Negative. Cannot be demonstrated unless you bring a few containers with you.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
I was taught that it was 93 million miles away.
You're going to need an R value for that because that's how they gear everything. And when it comes to stuff in the violation of the second law of thermodynamics, outer space. So if you don't have R, then all these numbers are useless.
Oh dear.
Hello.
Hey,
guys.
Hello.
Arwin.
What's on the menu?
R. Any evidence of the R
distance to the
value?
sun.
R.
Any evidence of the R value? Don't all go at once.
Well, deduction based, but yeah, the actual like radial geometry aspect, no.
The R value.
You're going to need a flat plane for that.
Well, it could be derived based on a presupposition, and that's about it.
What presupposition would get you there?
That the Earth is a sphere.
Or just assume the R value in the first instance. Yes, we're well aware of that particular presupposition. What about any presupposition that might get you to a measurement of it?
No, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, you know why. John, take it away.
It's a flat plane. We measure it that way. You can't measure a sphere at all. Flat planes aren't spheres.
The notion that the sphere Earth is beneath our feet has come from measurements from a flat plane. In the first instance, you have to have measured a flat plane to assert you're on a sphere. As ludicrous and contradictory as that may seem. That's how it's been done. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Wait a second, we're rotating?
No, we
Well-
wouldn't expect to see any deviation.
That's just one of the movements. Oh wait,
What movements
we're
would they
moving?
be? Sorry.
we're moving.
I don't know of any movement. What movement's that?
I don't know.
You don't know.
If you're not moving, you wouldn't expect to see deviation. That's right.
No,
Well,
it's because the Earth is so
somebody
big.
actually did tell us a while ago, came in and told us that the fact that we don't feel any movement, we don't measure any movement is proof of movement. So that checks out.
Or if you scale it up big enough, the rim velocity doesn't increase, it decreases. It gets less and less noticeable the faster and faster you go. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. It's physics, man.
Well,
They've even got as far as to misrepresent what Coriolis effect is.
well, absolutely. They claim that Earth turns underneath stuff and we see them drifting. Not actually drifting, they're travelling in a straight line, but because you're turning underneath them, they appear to drift. Well, that means that you look up at an aeroplane and go, wow, look at that, it looks like it's drifting. It's not. It's us on a turning Earth turning beneath it. Well, that would shorten the flight time. Because Earth's turning beneath it, the continent you're travelling to is coming towards it, the plane, that is. Well, that doesn't happen. So it's a nonsense. It's an assertion that Earth turns underneath to give not actual drift, and we don't experience either of those two things. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Can I go back to that for a minute?
What, Coriolis
In
deflection?
in celestial navigation, as we read many citations, especially from Darcy Rutherford, who we posted talking about that one argument about Earth going around the sun versus the sun going around the Earth. In celestial navigation, it is assumed that it's the celestial bodies that are moving. In this Coriolis, now you think about this for a minute. Those are two opposite situations there. The Earth is imagined motionless and stationary, and the stars are moving for celestial navigation. But Coriolis would be the opposite. They got a problem.
Yeah, the problem that we don't see anything drifting. If it's claimed that the stars are drifting because Earth's turning underneath them, and it's claimed that footballs drift through goals because Earth's turning underneath them, and snipers have to track their targets because Earth's turning underneath the bullet, then Earth's claimed to be turning underneath stuff, and that would shorten flight times. You'd only have to go up in a hot air balloon and wait for the next continent along to come to you, because Earth's turning underneath the hot air balloon. Yeah, it isn't. It's not turning underneath bullets, it's not turning underneath footballs, and we're not turning underneath the stars. And in terms of how you're utilising them to navigate, you're considering the ground stationary and them moving above certain portions of the land. That's what celestial navigation utilises the stars as. Certainly not you turning underneath them.
So the celestial navigation practice actually destroys Earth turning.
Yeah. But the lack of drift is a better one, because you're claiming there's drift. That's Coriolis effect. Show us drift. Check out my gyro is what the answer you'll get. Check out my pendulum. And you're like, right, okay. But that's a claim of two separate reference frames. So that's still Earth turning underneath stuff.
But that's my point. If the Earth was turning, we would see all those things. And it's not. That's why celestial navigation doesn't fall for it.
Right.
Well, to assert...
You would think...
Go on,
Sorry,
John first.
go
John
ahead.
first. Go ahead.
Well, to assert axial rotation, you need an axis. So you'll have to have an R value, and the only way you can establish that is with a flat plane. So that's got to be a problem.
I was just going to say, you would think that this Coriolis effect would be something pretty simple to see, being that somebody like astrophysicist Neil Smoking deGrasse Tyson can just look at a football game from his couch and do some quick calculations to tell everybody that, oh, this football field goal was scored because the Earth rotated underneath it. You would think that's something we would be able to see. Like, I could just go outside and see this happening everywhere, always. But, maybe he's got a special television or something. I don't know.
No, he calculated it.
Doesn't matter. He's claimed to calculate the thing he observed. He observed the goal because Earth turned beneath the ball, moving the goalposts. Now, from the stands, as described in Coriolis, you see the ball seem to drift. But that's as a result of Earth turning underneath. That's what causes the apparent drift from the stands. So as much as you're about to launch into, oh, he just calculated it, you calculated the observed effect he saw. or claimed it.
Hold on a second,
Yeah,
because
but it had
yesterday
nothing to do with anything, so because
No,
that
'cause
was
he
just
didn't
an
see-
effect from
No,
the ball.
balls just footballs just do curve, actually curve. It's not Earth turning underneath them that makes them seem. You don't launch a football and go, look how straight it is, but for the fact that Earth's turning underneath it. But that's what Neil deGrasse Tyson is actually saying. Look how flat it is. Look how straight the line of the ball is. But it isn't. It's curving through the goalpost, right? Scoring the winning goal. Why? Well, because Earth's turning underneath it. It's 2 reference frames.
Well, then how come I was throwing a ball yesterday with my 2 sons and it was going perfectly straight? What's the problem? The Earth wasn't turning yesterday.
No, it just means that
No,
you've
you hit
thrown the
it with
ball straight.
effect.
Doesn't mean balls can't travel straight. The point is that there is a claim that the only reason it curved through the goal is because Earth turned underneath. That's Coriolis effect. 2 reference frames. Non-inertial, that would be the frame of reference that you're standing on. So in other words, you don't notice that you're turning because you're non-inertial. You're moving with the reference frame. And inertial, the frame of reference that in this instance the ball is travelling through. Well, from the non-inertial turning reference frame, turning beneath the inertial reference frame, the ball, which would be claimed to travel straight in actuality, seems to curve through the goal, only because you and the reference frame you're on are claimed to turn beneath it. That's Coriolis effect. It simply doesn't happen because it would shorten flight times. And as I said earlier, you'd only have to go up in a hot air balloon and the next continent along would come to you, because Earth's turning underneath the hot air balloon, like it's claimed to turn under the football and the bullet and the gyro and the pendulum.
I have an answer for Neil, though, if I may. Right, Neil? Yeah, you kicked that ball, right, Neil? And it went straight. Well, that's because you hit it with an effect that effectively made it curve to basically neutralize the Coriolis deviation. That's why it went in a straight line.
No, I didn't kick it. I threw it.
Or through it, whatever. Still with an effect. You unwittingly accommodated for the Coriolis deviation, effectively neutralizing it. That's why it went in a straight line.
Other than that would shorten flight times and you'd only have to go up in a hot air balloon and wait for the next continent to come along, if that was true, Arwin. Yes, other than that minor detail. Okay.
Well, they
Can I ask a question?
effectively have a Coriolis neutralizing effect as well.
No,
They're
we
all
don't.
being thrown with
There's
effect.
no neutralisation of a not actual drift. Who said they wanted to ask a question? Yes, please, save me from this.
So if it's alleged that the atmosphere moves in lockstep with the surface of the Earth, obviously it's the alleged atmosphere as well. Wouldn't there necessarily be a point at which the atmosphere would experience some kind of shear effect? Because, basically all the gas around us is rotating, but then the visible stars are alleged to be in a non-rotating frame, right? So that would mean at a certain point, as you traveled upward, you would be continuing to conserve angular momentum.
That's a
And then
first
you would
law
get
of
to a
thermodynamics
certain-
violation, though. So you're
Well,
saying
I know,
you're increasing your energy with respect to the ground?
No, I understand that the increase in linear momentum would necessarily increase with distance if you wanted to conserve angular momentum, and that would violate the first law of thermodynamics.
Correct.
But what I'm saying is, for people who allege that this is possible, would it not be the case that there would be a position where you would suddenly exit one frame and enter another?
No, because the claim isn't in regards to both reference frames being as one, Earth turning with an atmosphere turning with it. That's not the claim. The claim, the actual globe Earth claim, is 2 reference frames, separately, not one reference frame. If Earth and atmosphere were to move together, for example, if you had a turning roundabout with a glass dome over it, and you claimed that on that turning frame of reference, all of the stuff contained within also moved at the same rate. Now, if you are to claim that, that is one reference frame. So where'd you get the drift? The globe's claiming there's Coriolis drift. So if it's all moving together,
Well,
there
yeah.
isn't any drift. So what you're
Well, I
actually
think that-
detailing is an anti-flat Earth rebuttal when we point out there's no drift. They go, we wouldn't expect to see drift, Earth and atmosphere move together. No, you that would be the globe Earth believer, claim there is drift. It's called Coriolis effect. We, the flat earthers, point out that there isn't any, and then you tell us you and your reference frames are ruined. They all travel together.
Well, no, I understand all that. What I'm saying is the initial observation, which prompted the idea that there might be any rotation at all, is that the stars appear to move. And so, via, a lot of speculation and unfounded leaps of logic, somehow the whole model was mathematically contorted to make the stars the, static inertial frame. And so I think the glass dome on the roundabout is a really good analogy for the question that I'm asking, because basically what it would mean is you would, as like a ballooner or someone who flies an airplane or whatever, be within the glass dome on the roundabout, not experiencing any type of drift, so have no observed phenomenon. But as soon as you penetrated a certain distance, let's say you cracked your little model airplane through the dome on the roundabout, suddenly you'd be in the inertial reference frame. But that would cause like such an insane vector shift that suddenly your trajectory would, like all of the drift that's supposed to occur based on the fact that you're on the roundabout in the dome, as soon as you traversed from the dome on the roundabout into the inertial frame, like all of that conserved angular momentum would like suddenly cause your trajectory to go insane.
Yes,
at least that's
you're taking it one step beyond the original claim that there should be drift, to a claim that the anti-flat earthers make that there is no drift, to a flat earth claim that if there is no drift because their heliocentric system with a sphere Earth in a vacuum is now contained within a dome and spinning, but you can breach the dome without there being any Coriolis drift, and when you do, there is drift. Yeah, there's just supposed to be drift. The globe claims Coriolis effect. I know that you're taking it beyond the anti-flat earth rhetoric to the point where it's absurd also, but there really is no need. Globe claims drift, we don't have any.
I can't take any more of this.
Go on, Brian. You take it on with the globiolis. You know where you're talking from in terms of this.
No, I'm ending the whole thing. You can't conserve angular momentum if you're not attached to the object that's rotating. As soon as you leave that object, you're not conserving that momentum. You're only conserving it once you're on and attached to the object physically. There is no. That's why they claim. No, that's a fact. That's why they claim linear momentum, which has nothing to do with a rotating object.
Sorry, that's not what they claim. They being anti-flat earthers claim that.
Well, all of their claims, whether they're anti-flat earthers or globers, all of them are completely wrong.
Yeah, but the original claim is Coriolis drift, not actual deflection caused by you being on a non-inertial turning reference frame, turning beneath an inertial reference frame, seeing an item seem to drift because you're turning beneath it. That's the globe claim. Earth turns beneath stuff like stars, and they seem to drift because you're the one turning. They're not. It's just apparent motion. So when you get into the, well, things wouldn't conserve momentum. Sorry, are the stars dragged along with the turning Earth, not drifting? Because that's what anti-flat earthers are saying. We wouldn't expect to see any drift, so the stars don't move then. Oh, well, they drift. What about a pendulum? Oh, well, it drifts. What about football? Well, that drifts. What about a sniper's bullet? Oh, well, that drifts. What about an aeroplane? Oh, well, that doesn't. We wouldn't expect to see drift. Earth and atmosphere move together. So the football doesn't drift then. Oh, no, that still drifts. It makes no sense. The claim is drift. The globe claim, not ours. Not for you to tell me on the anti-flat earth side that my reference frames I'm claiming when I say drift are ruined, Simon Dan. Yeah, I'm not claiming drift. The globe does, and we don't have any. Any more on Coriolis effect? Brian, I'm talking to you.
Yeah. Conservation of stationary momentum.
Isn't Coriolis effect.
Stationary momentum, nice.
Brian, any more? Any more for any more?
I don't know what else you want me to say.
There's nothing.
There is no.
Just checking.
Yeah.
The retention of angular momentum bit, just to maybe expand on that a little bit. If they'll claim that, and as you said, that's fine. But what they try to pretend is that it negates the reference frame. So basically, the air stays with it. That's not retention of angular momentum. It has to stay with the rotating object. But even if you did then allow that bastardization of it to allow the plane, the balloon, whatever, to maintain the angular momentum, all that would happen is the balloon would be rotating once every 24 hours on top of whatever else is going off. That's what would be retained. So rotating at the same rate as the supposed rate of their ball Earth. But that would be the only retention. It wouldn't keep it in lockstepedness. That.
Right, they want to say linear, but they can't because linear isn't the motion that it would take if it's retaining the velocity of the atmosphere moving along with Earth, negating the globe Earth claim of drift. So they want to say linear, but they can't. So they say angular, which is absurd because, as Adam's just detailed, if you're talking about retention of angular momentum when you take off in a hot air balloon, it means that you retain the claimed angular momentum of whatever it was you were attached to. Well, if that's a Earth turning once every 24 hours... you're just claiming that when the balloon leaves the ground, it's going to turn once a day. Well, that's not very useful. When your claims originally drift and now you're claiming that it retains the velocity of an atmosphere moving along with one reference frame that won't give drift. Yeah, that's not going to fly. But that's what we have to dig our way through, and we can dissect now after 7 years of arguing it. Any more on Coriolis?
I just think it's... I just... Go ahead, Brian.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I just think it's really interesting, right? Because, I haven't talked at length on this subject, but I've thought about it a bunch. And, it seems to me that the boundary between the alleged uncontained gas of Earth and the inertial non-rotating reference frame.
What boundary would that be?
Seem to be in a way.
Hold on. Let's just get. You said the claimed boundary. What would that be? Who's claiming it? I've never heard anybody claim this.
Well, they call it the Kármán line. You've
it's not
heard
a boundary.
this term before.
That arbitrary description isn't a boundary in any way, shape, or form.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, conceptually speaking, it seems that simultaneously it's this impossible non-boundary boundary where stuff can, freely expand to fill the space, but magically doesn't. And at the same time, it's the place where stuff that was previously in a non-inertial spinning reference frame can then just suddenly magically pop into the inertial non-spinning reference frame.
Nobody's describing it that way. Only you. Nobody's describing it that way. That's not what the Kármán line is.
Well, no, but do you get what I'm saying, though?
No, you're taking it... what I addressed it with was, you're taking it from, globe claims will drift because we're turning underneath an inertial reference frame, a la the stars, football, and bullet. Then, the response when we point out that does not happen as flat earthers is an anti-flat earther will tell us that we wouldn't expect to see any drift. That would be the same drift that the globe claims we will see and we've debunked. They say we wouldn't expect it. Why? Because we've shown we don't have it. Why don't we have it? Well, why are we arguing about it? You're supposed to have it. But let's argue about why we haven't got it, when the claim is that we will. We will have Coriolis as the globe. We show we haven't, as flat earthers, so they say we wouldn't expect to. So further to that, you're going to say, based on the idea that we should have drift that we don't see but we wouldn't expect to see, we'd have an arbitrary Kármán line barrier that if we traversed, we'd increase in angular momentum when we traversed it? No, this is absurd. You're taking it 3 steps beyond the original claim, which is that there should be drift, and there isn't. That's all that matters. Globe claims drift, there isn't any. Anti-flat earthers claim Earth and atmosphere move as one. That's a first law of thermodynamics violation. So I don't care what anything comes after that. It's not important. There's supposed to be drift, and there isn't.
I agree with all that.
Doesn't that sound vaguely familiar? That argument of something that we're expected to see that we wouldn't expect to see. What was that again? Oh, the geometric horizon. You wouldn't expect to see the geometric horizon. Is that what they've told us? something else that we're expected to see, that they literally tell us that they measure, but we don't expect to see that. That's very weird, don't you think?
Well, the geometric horizon is Earth curve. So what Chocolate's just detailed is the picture on screen now, a la Simon Dan again, when he decided to jump on the bandwagon of anti-flat Earth rhetoric when it came to the Black Swan, and tell us that we wouldn't expect to see the geometric horizon. Well, the geometric horizon is Earth curve. It's the straight line tangent point that puts an obstruction between you and things in the distance in those maths. It's the thing that's claimed to block boats and buildings. That's the geometric horizon, aka Earth curve. Now, the claim from Earth as a sphere is that we will have a physical geometric sphere edge obstruction known as Earth curve blocking boats and buildings, and here's the maths for it. Yeah, hidden values. Those are values that tell you how much it's hidden by a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, Earth curve. Well, when we debunk it and point out that it's not in a physical location that it could block things with, they tell us we wouldn't expect to see it. Yeah, you would. It's in your maths. It's called Earth curve. But literally, the anti-flat earthers tell us how we wouldn't expect to see it. So should we, therefore, argue with them about how they should expect to see it? No. We welcome them to flat Earth. We wouldn't expect to see a geometric horizon. What, Earth curve? Yeah, welcome to flat Earth. No, we wouldn't expect to see it. And neither do you, it seems.
It's funny that every time we debunk something, then we wouldn't expect to see something. That's real funny.
That is pretty funny.
I find it hilarious.
Speaking of which, any scientific evidence of gravity?
We'd have to start with a observation of a natural phenomenon, right? Has anybody seen anything like that?
We wouldn't
just
expect to
dropped my
see
pen.
it. We wouldn't expect you.
Maybe
You're going to
Sleepy
need a
Warrior.
force for that, Nathan. You're going to need a force.
A force? Gravity's not a force.
I just dropped my pen, Anthony, and it went to the ground.
I just dropped my helium balloon. It went to the sky.
Oh dear.
I just checked my calendar. It's not 1915 and prior.
Well, they found gravitons and ripples of gravity space-time over distance. They detected it. Didn't you know?
Oh, really? What was the natural?
space-time.
And what was the natural phenomena that they observed in that instance, Arwin?
They saw a computer readout on a screen with a wire attached to a device that they made that you can't look inside of.
Computer readout. That sounds natural.
It sounds very natural, doesn't it? I mean, the problem being, Arwin, even if you manage to get to the point where you said, no, the machine's looking at something that's occurring inside another machine, but the thing that's occurring is actually natural, you'd go, oh, well, that's lovely. And now we're going to establish the cause of that effect, right? Through science. The methodology of varying and manipulating that which you assume causes that effect to scientifically validate it as the cause of the effect, aka scientific experimentation. Is that what you're going to do with the phenomena? Or are you just going to bash a few things together in a collider and then say that that's science? And
well,
natural?
Nathan, it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very hard to actually go there because then you first would have to like blow up a star to go supernova in order to cause a gravity ripple, and then you vary and manipulate the cause of the gravity ripple. Right?
Create a gravity
but then
ripple.
First it would have to exist out there, and it would take too long to get there. So, you know.
Yeah, that's not my problem. The methodology is pretty straightforward. Observe natural phenomena, assume a cause of that effect, vary your assumed cause to see if it causes the effect. That's the method. It's really straightforward.
Natural phenomena, something like a device just gave an anomalous readout, like a pulse of something.
That's not a phenomena. That's not natural.
No, I know. I'm trying here, okay? The secondary is like, oh, quickly look through the telescope. Oh, there's a... that seems to like correlate with coming from that distance. Or I literally don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I know, and that's why I'm going to use this as an opportunity to plug something for the show. So you may not be aware, although I say it at the beginning of every single introduction, this is an open platform. So if you're listening to this live, because we are currently live, unless you're watching this on a replay, but as I say this, we are live, you can join immediately, which is to say that if you can see on screen now where Extremis is, he's joined the live stream queue. and all I have to do, if I actually spot it and I'm actually on the ball paying attention to what's going on in Discord, I can move him into the live stream audience. Now, there is a limited amount of space initially. If the space hasn't been filled, you can immediately join live stream if you're a Discord member. It's very straightforward. And then you can contest anything we say. For example, when I make a statement of fact that there is absolutely no scientific validity for gravity, there isn't even a phenomena to observe, you can come in and tell me how wrong I am. Maybe tell me about how you drop a pencil or something.
Nathan,
Well,
you didn't let me finish my hypothesis claim yet.
Independent variable, please.
I was just trying.
Arwen, you just proved that gravity only exists after you have too much ripple.
It was interesting that Arwen invoked a distance. Maybe we need a valid description of this phenomenon we've not observed yet.
Well, maybe there is a phenomenon. It just doesn't really fit into our heliocentrism.
No, you failed. Step one.
It's not gravity.
Step one.
I'm just saying it's not gravity.
Maybe there's a phenomena that doesn't fulfill step one in the method. Step one, step one, observe natural phenomena.
Look, I've discontinued attempting to lay down a hypothesis for this. I'm just saying there was allegedly some kind of thing picked up. Don't
care. The question is any scientific evidence of gravity. So upon declaration that I'm not even going to attempt a hypothesis, that's the concession that we need to move on, because we're just asking for science for gravity.
The entire premise, even of the gravity ripple, is nonsense, because just because you say it's a gravity ripple still doesn't make you know what it actually is. Like, it's impossible.
Hold on, he's done it again. I can't believe this. What is? You say what it is. You can't figure out what it is.
The thing that they claim supposedly.
He's talking straight through me. He's talking straight through the middle of me. Yeah, first establish what the phenomena actually is before you tell me that you can't describe what it is. Because that weasel word, is your way of massaging in a non-phenomena into this discussion.
I'm on your side here.
No, you're
for
not.
real. Yes, I am. No, I'm just saying, like, even as they say this, because this was at some point a claim, like a gravity ripple, whatever, it's all nonsense pseudoscience talk. But, like, beside that, even as they're describing the gravity ripple, they're already invoking a presupposition of gravity, which they still do not actually describe what that is. So it's almost like the mystery of gravity is giving us a ripple. That's how we know something about it now.
Okay, so after giving us a hard time, Arwen is now essentially making our point alongside us. Yeah, thank you.
I was always just amazed. Like, people believe in gravity and they describe things about gravity, but they still, within those attempts, don't even know or describe what gravity actually is.
Because there isn't anything. Yeah, there is no phenomena to observe. There is no natural phenomena. There is no gravity. You can't observe anything. When they say you drop something, that's not a natural phenomena, and further to that, gas goes up. It expands in all directions. It has no downward bias. So it's nonsense. It's 107 years out of date, the absurd notion that mass attracts mass. No, it does not. Not only does it not attract mass, that would be mass. Try defining mass for us and see how you get on with that. And then realise that 107 years ago it was replaced with Einsteinian pseudo-Ramonian force-space-time bending. That would be a conceptual medium, and the uneven distribution of mass in said conceptual medium causing the bending of space-time, aka gravity. That's what gravity actually is. Nonsense though that is also.
How was he allowed to get away with that? How was he allowed to get away with that nonsense?
Who? Einstein?
Yes, Einstein.
Well, you can maths anything you like. There's nothing stopping you doing that. Arwen's been trying for the last 6 straight years.
Yeah, and Einstein didn't really get away with it. He was just bought in by the establishment that determined these things. There were a large amount of physics community people that were adamantly opposing everything he was saying, like petitions and shit.
He obviously got away with it because they teach it in school.
Yeah, because he was.
No, they don't. That's wrong. Stop.
Stop.
That's wrong, Neil. No, they do not teach it in schools. That's wrong.
Well, in the higher education, they teach the bending of space-time, right?
they teach it you when you get to university. If you're going to become a
Right.
qualified teacher to teach kids about science, in quotes, air quotes, then you will learn that mass attracting mass is not gravity, and that the uneven distribution of mass caused by the bending of space-time caused by the uneven distribution of mass is gravity. You'll learn that, but then you'll go through the education board and they'll put in front of you a syllabus that tells you to teach them that mass attracts mass. 107 years out of date. So no, they don't teach Einsteinian gravity in school. They teach 107 year out of date mass attracting mass. That's Cavendish Reverend John Michel C.V. Boy's gravity.
Well, that's even more to pity.
Yeah.
Well, what even is space-time bending?
It's a concept.
Right?
Concept.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
They never tell you what it actually is. It's not translated to anything.
See,
What does
this is
pseudo
the
mean?
part-
What does pseudo mean, Owen? It tells you in the geometry title. Pseudo-Ramonian force space? I'm pretty sure they
Yeah,
do
but
tell you.
No, but that's not what they describe. That's the medium they invoke to do it within. But that still doesn't explain what this space-time bending actually is, even within the concept.
It is within the
is that?
concept. You've just done that. You've just adequately described it. That's what you've just done.
Oh, that's nice. It still doesn't say what it actually is, though.
A
It's
concept.
just like,
Space-time is
space-time bending.
there isn't anything. When you say what it is, there isn't any it.
Well,
There's
there's
a
not even a
description in maths.
description even
Oh,
within
God,
that.
why am I getting rumpus by Arwin every time we talk to each other? It's a description in maths only. So when you say what it is, how are you going to study something that's conceptually described within mathematics? You can't. There isn't anything to study.
Okay.
Supposedly,
Well,
they
what
say
is it
they can do the
mathematically
bending
then?
of light, the depths of space, and that's what implies this sort of thought process.
So they're bending a light in outer space. That's a fake place. So they've
That's
tried
what
to
they claim.
juxtapose a fake
I
medium
agree.
with bending space-time.
Yeah, I agree, but this is the rhetoric they push forward.
Wait,
I still don't
guys.
understand. Like
Guys,
how?
hold on. Is gravity just a veiled euphemism for refraction?
No.
Well, just think about it. It's like
Yeah, there's a point
the
there.
only explanation you have for things not being what they demonstrably are is that the sort of I hate to use this big old word again, but the epistemological access you have to things such as straight lines, rulers, concepts such as space, concepts such as time, the idea that light travels in straight lines, you say, well, based on those concepts, the Earth appears flat, level is straight, the GP of the star hits the Earth at a 90-degree angle, and so on and so forth. And the only response that these crazy zealots have in response is that stuff is actually bent. And
I'll
so, in a
second what you
way,
just said, mate. I'll second what
Yeah,
you just
and
said, mate.
so-
I agree with you. Refraction is essentially what you're describing. Just say that one line again, that tagline that Nathan said. Now, you're right.
well, I don't have a tagline. I'm just kind of freestyling here, but basically, gravity is to refraction
Correct.
what
That is literally what it is.
what like basic mathematical conceptions are to the path of light. I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting thought I had, right?
Yeah. Let
Does
me
that make any
paraphrase that.
sense?
They mix it up.
Hold on,
They-
Let me
Owen.
paraphrase it so
Hold
it
on,
makes
Owen.
more sense.
Go ahead, Sleeping Warrior.
Let me paraphrase it so it makes a little bit more sense. We're told that in 1919, Eddington validated Einstein's theory of general relativity when there was an eclipse and there were some stars that were in an apparent position, not an actual position, because they appear to have accelerated. That is called gravity. That is what gravity is. Well, let's change it from a star in the distance in the sky to somewhat like a boat or a building on the horizon that now seems to be apparently accelerating because of the effects of refraction. They are conceptually, fundamentally the same thing. You're right, I agree with you. It is more akin to refraction than it is to a force.
No, that's incorrect. Fundamentally different things. The pseudo-Ramonian force space-time bending may have bending in it, it doesn't mean that it's in any way derivative of a 7/6 R value, which is the claim of atmospheric refraction. These two things are totally different.
But the effect is the same.
No, you can compare the effect that they detail of gravitational lensing in outer space to be comparable, but that is not gravity.
Yeah.
That is not the uneven distribution of mass caused by, the bending of space-time itself, which is a conceptual medium caused by the uneven distribution of mass. Now, if you're going to describe lensing in that, then yeah, I could compare it. But you're just saying gravity is akin to refraction. No, it isn't.
No, but who's to say that the density of the Earth is not continuously fluctuating from extremely dense to not so dense, extremely dense and not so dense? And that's the effect that we see when we see bolts and buildings shimmering on the horizon, moving up and down. Who's to say it's got anything to do with either of them, but both of them perfectly explain the observation. And that is what gravitational lensing is. It's the movement of things in the distance that appear to be moving when they're not actually moving.
Yeah,
He's right.
I just told you that. Yeah, but that,
it is comparable.
You and
to
the other
refraction.
guy were just jerking each other off, telling each other that you were right about comparing or juxtaposing gravity with refraction. No, I'm sorry, but no.
Yes,
not
right.
at all.
He's right.
Can I say something?
He just chanted he's right. I love it. It's not anti-flat earthers that do this, it's people. Just people. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, gravity doesn't exist. There is no such thing as gravity as far as an actual effect. There isn't. That doesn't exist. Refraction does.
Oh,
That's the end of that.
I was actually comparing and contrasting with terrestrial refraction, Brian.
Well, real refraction exists. Terrestrial refraction doesn't, and gravity doesn't.
Right. So
that's actually the first
I
thing
picked
I thought.
terrestrial refraction because I saw it as vaguely comparable, which is where I thought they were going, because it's not real also. But it's very distinct in terms of how it's detailed. It's 7/6 of the radius or any derivative value thereof that they decide to massage it with. Well, that's definitely not pseudo-Ramonian.
Yeah, well, I mean, what Eddington saw was real refraction because he saw a real effect. That's real. These other things aren't.
Yeah, okay.
That's a part of the okie doke, right? When these guys, when they assert refraction, they don't ever tell us, oh, it's terrestrial refraction, obviously. They never actually say that. They just say refraction. So to me, it's like, oh, you're saying that because, yeah, refraction is a real thing, but that's not the refraction you're actually talking about.
Correct.
The refraction you're talking about actually needs a radius and curved gas. And we don't have those things, so that's a problem.
When they say refraction, what they really mean is curved. That's literally what they mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was getting at.
I highlighted that too. I said, like, other than them both having bending in them, which I'll give you. I'll just shout out Unitox Femi for the super chat. He says, where is the edge of that atmosphere rotation? I think it was in reference to a conversation that we were having earlier on the show. But thank you for the super chat, Unitox Femi. We really appreciate the support. If I missed anybody else's super chat, I'm sorry. I just wasn't paying attention because of Arwin. I blame Arwin.
I'm sorry, Nathan.
That's all right. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Impossible.
Gravity bending light. Black holes.
We cover everything. I think that's it. That's the end of the housekeeping.
Hey.
I don't think we did the molten iron core, did we?
I didn't do 2. I missed 2. Total lie. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
P waves and S waves.
Volcanoes.
Okay. What primary and secondary waves? Tell me all about it.
Who knows with all the crap we've been hearing today?
I just heard someone say it and I saw a diagram. It makes sense, so I've just vomited it back just to explain it. So therefore, it's a thing.
It also works in my kitchen.
You're going to need half of that.
Really? John, you used P waves and S waves to size up the content of your table?
No. I used a primary and secondary wave to show that it was spherical. My kitchen. I did it live on the show. You guys heard it.
Must have missed that one.
You missed an opportunity. Dyslow wanted to say something regarding that light bending. Go ahead, Dyslow.
Go ahead.
I said everything I had to say. I was just saying that this is the concept that they try to portray, is that light in space bending due to gravitational fields. This is what they come up with, and he had a good point with refraction, celestial refraction, and it kind of goes hand in hand.
Is this thing working? Did I not say gravitational lensing? Did I not cover that already?
No, you're just a little bit behind, Nathan. Everybody else sees
It's
the
just me being slow, right? It's not like I'm getting my own points parroted back to me like I didn't say them 25 seconds ago.
Yeah, you might have. I had an incoming call just a little bit ago. Maybe I missed that. But yeah, same page, man.
Okay.
It's all right, Nathan. Don't worry. We're all on our own little journey, and we all don't get things at the same time that everybody else does. It's fine. You'll get there eventually.
Don't patronise me. How dare you? Jean has a question, or Jean has a question. Camo hat engaged. No more racism towards John. It's not fair. But thank you for the super chat. That said, I put out a video calling him a hillbilly or something. What did I call you, John?
Redneck.
No, I didn't call him a redneck. Something like that. He was King of the Hill parody. King of the Hill.
No, you said he was a propane salesman.
There you go. Well, less of it. It's funny when I do it.
Hey, isn't that Hank?
Hank Hill.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah. Well, there's. Do you mean the person who's on? Let's just do the rest of the housekeeping questions before we descend into non-flat Earth related questions. Any evidence that you can acquire an elevation angle from a curved baseline?
This would actually be one of the questions wherein the ontological parameters of the question necessarily preclude a positive answer.
That's
in the
correct.
sense that
that's correct.
Angles,
well summarized.
Yeah, angles require straight lines.
That's the beautiful thing about asking the question and then hearing how, we need a horizontal plane for that. From the very people that don't believe we live anywhere near a horizontal plane. That's the beautiful part.
But that was so beautifully summarized. Absolutely, you've twigged the essence of the argument. That's right. To ask the question's absurd, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's seriously like, are there any four-sided triangles? Any evidence of a four-sided triangle?
Exactly. You got it. Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle from a curved baseline is absurd as a question. But that's just what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with people who use straight lines, as we've still got Simon done on screen. I forgot to press play on my screenshots. That's what they need. They need a straight line to a tangent point if they're going to claim that they're measuring something straight off a sphere. And they haven't even got that anymore. Black Swan. They've now got a bent line to a non-geometric horizon. So they can't do any angle measurement at all, or even infer that they can calculate one. It's game over on every front.
Didn't Zanuck come on the show and confess that it's flat first, and then they make it a globe?
Yeah. About the only useful thing he's ever done here, but yes, that's correct. It has to be flat. Yes, I'm taking an elevation angle measurement from a flat Earth. Don't get hung up on the fact that it's flat and I have to use it that way.
Don't get hung up on the winning point, Nathan.
Yeah, well,
this is where
go on,
this is where I think of that moment with McToon, where he starts to describe like on a flat Earth like that, and then he like drops the conversation, clicks on the video. That would describe that moment.
You mean the clip
perfectly.
From him and Brian? Is it Brian Leak? Am I saying his name right?
Could be.
Can someone correct me on that guy's name that was debating with Toon? He's a fan of the show. I'm sorry to get your name wrong, Brian. Either way, yeah, that clip was the cognitive dissonance kicking in, him saying it in his mouth working quicker than his brain, and him suddenly realising what he said and going, when I assume a flat Earth, that's even worse.
What was I talking about again?
What was I talking about again? Flat Earth angle measurements. Oh, yeah. The very point I've had pointed out to me by Nathan 80 times. Right, Toon? Suddenly sinking in now, right? Yeah, you bet it ain't.
81 now.
Talk about a guy scrambling. It was incredible.
Yeah, that's all it is
Yeah.
on that
It was
road for
funny
them from
because
here on forward. What was
the
the
funny
opportunity?
thing.
Go
Oh,
on,
sorry.
Garwin, go on.
The funny thing about that moment is that he was basically trying to go and dig in, lay it out from the flat Earth side to point at a problem in it. Then halfway he realized he couldn't find a problem about it. And that's when he crashed, basically. Because he was gonna like, oh yeah, let's do that on the flat Earth. In the full expectancy, he was gonna be able to point out a problem about it. And then he realized he couldn't as he was doing it.
Oh, the problem was he couldn't do it on a sphere. That's the problem.
Yeah, the problem is he has to use a flat Earth. He has to acquire an angle first. You know, he's currently going around. I've never even looked at Toon's challenge, but I've got a vague idea from the amount of proactive promotion he comes to my comments with. And in one of them, he dropped in alt and the measurement to the star. And you're like, what, an altitude angle? That's an elevation angle. The thing I've parroted at him 81 times. But yet he's got the balls on him to come in my comments and ask people, how do these alt measurements work on a flat plane? You're like, the alt measurement you're talking about is an elevation angle measurement that could only have come from a flat plane. As I say, he's had that in excess of 80 times. But he's still out there parroting it. He's a fool.
Nathan, hang on. Nathan, go to Master B because I have a slide there that matches it perfectly. Go on, John.
I was just going to say that's the difference between debunking a positive claim and making a positive claim that's true. You know, they're dealing with that now, and it's got to be painful.
Yep. It's the first time in the debate history that that's been the case. Fantastic position to be in on Flat Earth right now. If you haven't been on this particular position or this tip or this vibe up until now, now's the time to rejoice. Because all of the positive claims that come from Flat Earth up until now, up until about 2021 in fact, were positive claims that we despised on this show. Because they were 99 times out of 100 backed up with nothing. Just speculation by flat earthers or regurgitation of controlled opposition narratives that they've been fed from day one, being parroted out to the egg, held up in straw men, false dichotomies. Who was that from G+? Go ahead.
Shout out to the egg.
What egg?
He said 99 out of 100 and come out with baseless assertions with absolutely no evidence whatsoever.
Anthony's egg.
Oh, the experiment, yeah. Backing your claims with scientific validity versus coming out with nonsense on the flat earth side, which we won't go into in any detail. But yeah, they're not backing what they say. They're making positive claims plenty, so they're giving plenty for the opposition to get their teeth into and rip to shreds and humiliate them with. It's like, if you're going to make a positive claim, you better be damn sure that you can back it, because you'll just have your ass handed to you by an anti-flat earther who picks on that specific thing, the positive claim you've made. Well, now we're in a position where our positive claim is in regards to celestial navigation. And it's not an agree-disagree situation. It's a fact that it requires a flat plane to do it. Now, if they try and utilise that methodology, they are going to be measuring an elevation angle, the same one that Toon's asking about, how they work on a flat plane. Yeah, he measured them on a flat plane. That's how he got that alt that he's leaving in my comments. That's an elevation angle, altitude angle to the stars he's got in his challenge. Required a flat plane. That's awkward. They don't want to have to deal with that. They're so used to dealing with ice walls and ether and other horse shit that people have been fed when they got to flat Earth.
Incoherent dielectric acceleration.
You got it.
Well, if you change the word elevation to altitude, maybe it'll stick.
No, in the 80 renditions of the same exact rebuttal being put to him, I put all 10 of the citations detailing very specifically how altitude angle is elevation angle. It's not like unless he didn't read.
Well, the real crazy ramification of all that too is that it extends, pun intended, beyond the conception of celestial navigation to the real, a lot of times globers say, oh, you flat earthers are not interested in the nuts and bolts of technological progress or whatever. But the argument that has been presented on the show, viz. The sextant, also shows that measuring the height of any object requires a flat plane.
That's correct. Yeah, someone left a comment yesterday asking me about the angular size of something. No, it wasn't in my comments. I totally lie. It was in Brian's comments. So I just addressed them all when they're asking him about angular sizes, ignoring the fact that they don't have them in their curve maths. I'm like, well, you'll need a flat Earth to measure that.
Yeah, I've had several of the globe sites trying to lecture me because they didn't understand what my last night's video was about. Trying to lecture me about angular sizes and how angular size change works, and how orthographic and perspective works, and how perspective works. And one of them was your man Farmer's Boy. No, that guy. It's like, where is perspective in your model? Where is perspective? As far as, like, in their world, perspective doesn't exist. So they can't ever talk about perspective because it can't exist in their world. Can it?
And now we know why. They've taken angular measurements that came from a flat plane, that's a baseline and an altitude to a star, for example. You're listening, Toon? Like in your challenge. Yeah, they're taken off a flat plane. And then they claim that the arc of the measuring tool itself is the ground you're standing on.
Yeah.
Virus answered to any evidence of R. Virus answers stars.
That's a brilliant answer.
That's an excellent answer. So concise and detailed.
There is an R in stars.
That's right. I don't think that R is a radius value, though.
It's not ironic that Kumu says that after Nathan just saying what he just said about the arc scale.
Wait, I finally figured out the evidence of R. You guys ready?
Oh, yeah,
so there was a pirate who hijacked perspective and called that hijacking the Earth curve calculator, and because he was a pirate, he said, "Arr."
Now Virus says do the math. Are you kidding me?
Do the math.
Virus, you've been destroyed 1,000,000 times over.
He didn't give us any math. He just said stars. What maths was there to do when he just said stars? There wasn't any. Just throwing out baseless assertions with no evidence. It's not.
I think he's talking about.
I'm sorry.
I think he's talking about angular maths to do with angles that would be flat Earth.
You're going to need a flat Earth if he's talking about any sort of angle.
This is the same virus who posts, you guys just don't understand basic geometry, and he screws up a 90-degree right angle. This is that guy. Remember that.
Shout out to Godzilla37. He says, show number what? Like 1600 or so? Well, good news. Today's the day. Virus finally proves the globe. He did it in chat. We can go home now, because Coriolis and stars. Thank you, God, for parrots. Really appreciate the super chat. Thank you very much indeed for your support. And with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, hit the PayPal link, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on a Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video. The virus in the chat as the live show is ending says, I never proved anything here. Full stop. I try hard not to. Never a true word spoken. 167 live viewers. Thank you very much indeed for tuning in live. Stay tuned to watch the after show.